She accidentally married the CEO who turned out to be a vampire prince. Part 3. Chapter 13, Kiss of the Damned. Luna floated in a place between pain and sleep. Heat pulsed beneath her skin, like wildfire trapped under ice. Her body felt broken, her breath shallow. She was vaguely aware of movement, of arms cradling her, of her head pressed against a chest that didn't beat. She heard someone call her name like a prayer, or a curse. Darian. His voice broke through the haze. Stay with me. Luna, please, don't leave me. She wanted to answer, but her lips wouldn't move. She couldn't remember what had hurt her. Only the shattering pain in her side, the pounding in her head, and the sudden silence when Evangeline's blade had sliced across her ribs in a final, desperate strike, just before Luna landed the blow that ended it. The council had seen her win. But Luna was dying. The vampire medics worked in silence. Darian paced the hallway outside the private infirmary beneath Blackthorn Tower, fists clenched so tightly his nails drew blood. He could still smell Luna's. She had lost too much. Too quickly. She's not healing, the medic said solemnly. Her body isn't fully human anymore, but it's not vampire either. It doesn't know how to mend. She's in between. Then pull her out, Darian snarled. Do something. We can't, the medic said. But you might. He looked up. There was only one way. One risk. One bond left to deepen. Darian entered the room, stepping into the low candlelight. Luna lay still on the velvet-draped bed, her face pale, her chest barely rising. The wound along her side had stopped bleeding, but it hadn't closed. She looked like a ghost caught between heartbeats. He sat beside her, trembling. You stubborn, impossible woman, he whispered, brushing her hair back from her clammy forehead. You fought for me when no one else would. You saved me in the ballroom. You walked the stage like a queen. You faced Evangeline with nothing but courage and fury. He swallowed hard. And now I'm going to do something I swore I never would. His fangs dropped. Gleaming. Sharp. Luna stirred slightly, eyes fluttering. Maybe she felt it. Maybe she heard the silent war in his chest. He leaned down, lips brushing her neck. I'm sorry, he whispered. And he bit her. It wasn't violent. It was reverent. His fangs pierced skin he'd only ever touched gently, and her blood rushed into him like wildfire through a dry forest. His veins burned. His chest locked. But beneath that fire, something else bloomed. Power. A pulse. Magic. He felt her essence, wild, old, untamed, pouring into him, twining with his own blood like two ancient rivers finally converging. She moaned, softly. Her fingers gripped his coat. Her mark, glowing faintly across her back, flared. And then Darian felt it, a surge of light, not pain. A blinding flood of warmth that hit him behind the eyes and dropped him to his knees. Their bond, once thin and unsure, sealed with an invisible chain of blood and will. And as her blood left her veins and entered his, some of his returned. He leaned over her mouth and let his blood drip between her lips. One drop. Two. Luna gasped. And woke. Her eyes flew open, gold and glowing. Her heartbeat slammed like a war drum. And then everything hit her at once, the pain, the bite, him. She sat up fast, chest heaving. What did you do? I saved you, Darian said, pale, sweat clinging to his brow. You bit me, she said, hand flying to her neck. He nodded once. And gave you blood in return. You turned me. No, he said. You're not vampire. You're still you. But the bond is complete now. Your body has accepted what it is. What it always was. Luna blinked, still dazed. What am I? Darian rose unsteadily, wiping blood from his mouth. You're the key. You're the bridge. Mortal and immortal, hunter and heir. She looked down at her hands. Her fingers were glowing faintly. I feel everything. Because now, he said softly, you are connected to me in every way. My thoughts. My power. My pain. Luna looked up at him. And yours to mine. He smiled, tired. Of course. You just don't know what you've unleashed. She stood, the silk sheet wrapped around her like armor, and crossed to him. They stood chest to chest. You love me, she said. Yes. And now I feel it, she whispered, stunned. Like it's in my blood. He reached up and cupped her cheek. And I feel yours. Then he kissed her, soft, slow, a kiss not of passion but of consequence. Of bond. Of future. And the moment their lips touched, the candlelight in the room flared like wildfire. The ancient bloodline, the one long thought dead, was now truly awake. And the world would feel its pulse. In a ruined cathedral under a foreign sky, Nikolai sat with his hands folded as black wax candles dripped onto his throne. She lives, he said. Beside him, a sorcerer nodded. The bond is complete. And the prophecy. The sorcerer turned pages in a cursed tome. It has begun. Nikolai's smile was slow and cruel. Then it's time to let father know, the bloodline he tried to kill is back. Chapter 14, Secrets in the Cellar. There were places in the Blackthorn estate that no one dared enter. Even Luna, now bonded, blood-marked, and half whatever she was, felt it. That tension. The sense that certain doors weren't just closed, they were sealed by memory, by guilt, by something older than keys. It started with a whisper. A literal whisper. At 3 in the morning, Luna sat bolt upright in bed, heart thudding, the sound still echoing in her ears, a woman's voice, faint, mournful. Come find me. She stood, dizzy, the pull of the voice so strong it made her limbs feel distant. It wasn't like the dreams. This was realer. She followed the whisper barefoot, in a black silk robe, past sleeping guards and the dark velvet halls of Blackthorn Tower. Down, 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 past levels she didn't know existed. Until she reached the cellar. A door she'd never seen before waited at the end of a stone corridor. It wasn't like the others. This one was iron. Cold. With an old keyhole and runes etched deep into the frame. A voice in her blood whispered, "Open it." And she did. The door creaked open into a room that smelled of dried roses, ash, and time. The walls were stone, the air thick with age and secrets. Luna lit a wall-mounted lantern, its flame casting long, shivering shadows. In the center of the room was a raised stone platform. And on it, surrounded by a ring of withered petals and melted wax candles, lay a mummified corpse. Female. Small. Wrapped in crumbling silk, skin parchment thin over hollow bones. But what made Luna gasp? What made her drop the lantern and stumble back? Was the face. Even in death, even under layers of time and decay. She looked exactly like Luna. Luna backed into the far wall, hand over her mouth. Panic warped with fascination. Logic screamed leave. Instinct whispered stay. Then she saw the book. It lay beside the body on a black velvet cushion, thin, leather-bound, brittle with age. She opened it with trembling fingers. The script inside was precise. Beautiful. Old. The Journal of Isolde Blackthorne. Born 1791. Died 1819. First and only mortal wife of Darian Blackthorne. Luna's breath caught. She flipped through entries written in a voice heartbreakingly familiar. He kissed me in the garden today. The sun was rising and I asked him why he always left before morning. He never answered. But I loved him. There are things he will not tell me. Secrets. Shadows. I see them in his eyes. They warned me of the 10th. I bear the mark. My dreams are filled with fire and blood and a name I do not know. Luna froze on the last page. I dreamed of another life. Another me. In another time. Wearing a crown not yet forged. And I knew I would return. The sound of footsteps snapped her head up. Darian appeared in the doorway, his face pale, his eyes dim with memory. You weren't supposed to find this. She turned the book toward him. Isolde. She was real. Yes. She looked like me. She was you. Luna's voice cracked. What? Darian stepped fully into the chamber, his presence casting long shadows across the tomb. You're her. Or rather, the soul that was hers, reborn. I never believed in reincarnation until I met you. Until I saw your face. Until I felt the bond click into place and I remembered her scent in your skin, her voice in your breath. Luna shook her head. That's not possible. But it is, he said quietly. When I held you the first night in Vegas, I smelled jasmine. Just like I did the night Isolde died. That was how I knew. And when you touched the dagger, when your mark awakened, there was no doubt. Luna's legs gave out. She sank to the floor beside the stone bed. You buried her here. I couldn't let her go, Darian admitted. The council forbade the union. Said she was a danger. They tried to take her from me. They killed her, Luna said, barely above a whisper. Yes. And now I'm back. Darian knelt before her, cupping her face with both hands. Tears lined his lashes, not blood, not magic. Real ones. I never stopped loving her. But this isn't fate. This isn't a loop. This is you, Luna. And I love you for who you are now, not who you used to be. She searched his eyes. Saw no lie. Just ache. And then she said something that surprised even her. I believe you. In a temple overrun with shadows and moss, Nikolai watched the flickering vision of Luna kneeling before her own corpse. Reborn, he whispered. Just as the prophecy foretold. The figure beside him stirred. An ancient, monstrous voice rasped. Then the 10th must rise. The daughter must choose. Or all shall burn. Chapter 15, The Vampire Ball. The invitation arrived on parchment so old it crackled when Luna touched it. Black wax. Silver ink. The High Council of the 9 Houses. Cordially summons Lady Luna Blackthorne. To the masquerade of midnight. In celebration of ancient blood and renewed legacy. Attendance is not optional. Below the text was a symbol she now recognized too well. The thorned crown. Her mark. Her heritage. Her warning. The Blackthorne penthouse had been converted into a hive of preparation. Dozens of tailors, stylists, and ceremonial experts flowed through the halls like storm clouds. Wards must be etched into the lining, one insisted. She cannot wear mortal metals, another argued. Her mask must represent the 10th house, someone whispered, and was promptly slapped. Luna sat still in front of a gilded mirror as Marta braided strands of black velvet into her hair, her face calm but her pulse rioting. Her dress lay draped across a chaise like a threat. Midnight silk. Red embroidery in the shape of rising flames. A cape of sheer black with stars stitched in real silver thread. And a mask. A raven's face, carved from obsidian, edged with thorns. "You look like war," Marta said, fastening the last braid. "Good," Luna murmured. "I'm tired of looking like prey." The masquerade was held in a citadel carved into the side of the French Alps, known only as La Voûte de Minuit, the Vault of Midnight. It wasn't on any map, and Luna was fairly certain the entrance required not just invitation but bloodline resonance. They arrived just before midnight. Darian wore a tailored black suit with a blood-red cravat and a half-mask shaped like a snarling wolf. Luna caught her breath when she saw him. He looked like temptation dressed in war. "You sure you're ready?" he asked, adjusting her cape. "No," she replied. "But I'm here." He smiled faintly. "That's half the battle." Inside, the vault was a Baroque cathedral of shadows and candlelight. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, painted with constellations that moved. Black marble floors gleamed like ice. Music swirled from a ghostly quartet who played strings made from memory. And the guests. They were terrifying. Vampires of every house, ancient and new. Eyes like gems, masks of bone and silver. No one spoke loudly. Everyone stared at her. Luna walked beside Darian like a storm wearing heels. A bell tolled once, low, hollow, final. And the voice of the high scribe echoed through the chamber. "Let the masquerade begin. Let old blood rise. Let the queen of the night take her place." Luna froze. Darian stiffened beside her. And all eyes turned toward her. A spotlight from nowhere lit the dais above the ballroom, where the council sat like statues carved from sin. The Grand Matriarch stood. Her voice was dry silk. "Lady Luna Blackthorn, first of the reborn 10th house, heir by blood and fire, step forward." Darian grabbed her hand. "You don't have to." "Yes," Luna said. "I do." She stepped away from him and walked up the stairs, every step echoing like a heartbeat. When she reached the dais, the matriarch held out a crown, not golden, but carved of obsidian and bone, with a single crimson jewel pulsing at the center. "By right and by witness, we name you Queen of the Night. Not by throne or husband, but by your own rising." Gasps echoed. The crown lowered onto Luna's head. And for a moment, she felt the world shift. Power flowed through her spine like fire down a blade. She was no longer just Darian's bride. She was her own storm. Then came the music. A low, haunting waltz. Familiar. Pulling. A masked figure stepped from the shadows, bowing low before her. "Darian." He held out his hand. "May I have this dance, Your Majesty?" The words were teasing, but his eyes held something deeper. Something raw. She took his hand. They stepped onto the dance floor as the orchestra swelled. The room faded. It became just them. They moved in perfect harmony, fluid, precise. He led with grace, she followed with fire. Every step was a declaration. Every spin a question. Every turn, an answer. When he pulled her close, she felt the pulse of their bond like a second heartbeat. "You're not afraid?" he asked. "Of the crown," she said. "No. Of me." She looked up at him, unflinching. "Never." He kissed her. And the ballroom shuddered. Gasps. Applause. A few snarls. But it didn't matter. Because in that moment, Luna realized something undeniable. She wasn't dancing with a monster. She was dancing with the other half of herself. Far above, in the shadows of the vaulted ceiling, Nikolai watched. He leaned against a beam, arms crossed, a glass of blood wine in his hand. "Let them dance," he murmured. "Let her wear the crown. The higher they rise, the further they fall." Beside him, something ancient stirred. A voice like cracked stone whispered. "She will awaken the gate. And the gate will bleed." Nikolai smiled. Exactly. Chapter 16, Bitten by Fame. The first photo dropped at 4:02 a.m. A grainy image posted by an anonymous account on a fringe gossip forum. Luna Blackthorn, queen of the night, mid-dance, her obsidian crown glittering beneath chandelier light, her lips pressed to Darian's in front of a crowd of vampires who looked more myth than man. At 4:17 a.m., another image, sharper this time, hit Twitter. Breaking: Darian Blackthorn's bride crowned queen of the night at secret Alpine ball. Is the world's most powerful CEO. Not human. By 6:30 a.m., the tabloids had exploded. #Vampire CEO trend globally before sunrise. Morning shows speculated. Conspiracy channels howled. Talk shows laughed nervously. Luna's face, hidden behind her raven mask, became the new digital Rorschach. Some said she was a high society socialite, others claimed she was a cult leader, and a very loud few insisted she was an AI-generated decoy created to distract from inflation. But the crown was real. The dance was real. And by 8 a.m., someone leaked a second photo. This one from outside the vault of midnight. A flash of fangs. A very clear image of Darian Blackthorn, eyes glowing red, mouth parted, teeth elongated as he leaned toward Luna's neck. Captured by a drone. And uploaded with a single headline. CEO or Count Dracula. Luna stood in front of the television, barefoot, in Darian's silk button-down, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the screen. The words "breaking news" blinked in the corner like a migraine. What some are calling a blood kiss moment, where the CEO of Blackthorn Industries appears to embrace his wife in a clearly vampiric manner. Is this marketing? Madness? Or something more? She turned to Darian. "You're on The View." He looked up from his phone. "What's The View?" "Doesn't matter," she muttered. "We're screwed." Darian tossed his phone on the couch, rubbing his temples. "The council is furious. Someone inside the vault betrayed the oath of secrecy." "You think it was Nikolai?" "I think Nikolai wouldn't waste his time with tabloids." "Which means, someone else is moving pieces." Luna paced. "So what do we do?" Darian looked at her for a long time. "We let them see what they want to see." She froze. "What?" "Play the part. Control the chaos. If they want a queen of darkness, we give them one. On our terms." By mid-afternoon, Darian's legal team had issued 10 statements, all vague and contradicting. The press dubbed them the Blackthorn Denials. There is no confirmed supernatural activity. Miss Luna Blackthorn is in excellent health. Mr. Blackthorn respects traditional values, both modern and ancient. No further comment at this time. Meanwhile, Luna's inbox exploded. Her mother left 8 voicemails, the first asking if she was in a cult, the last asking if she could borrow money for a new dishwasher. A journalist from Vanity Fair offered her the cover. Someone on TikTok started a trend called #BiteMeLikeBlackthorn. It involved fake fangs, romantic aggression, and a lot of bruises. And Luna? She just wanted one thing: to breathe. She escaped to the rooftop garden at sunset, heels in hand, dress rumpled, hair a mess. The sky was soft orange and lavender, the city glowing beneath her like an ember-strewn sea. Darian found her there. He didn't speak at first. Just stood beside her, the wind tugging at his coat, his eyes soft and unreadable. "You okay?" he asked. "I don't know," she replied. "I think I've been in crisis mode since Vegas." He laughed softly. "That checks out." She looked at him. "What if this is too much? What if I break under the weight of all this?" "You won't." "How do you know?" "Because I've seen you fight a ballroom full of immortals in heels." She snorted. "You didn't think I could survive this, did you? When we first met." He turned to her fully. "No. I thought you'd run. Scream. Break. And now? I know you'll burn the world before letting it break you." A pause. Then she said, "We can't hide anymore." "No," he said. "The world's watching now. And the council. They'll try to use you." "They already are." He nodded. "Then make it hurt." The next day, Luna sat in a throne-like chair on a sound stage in an undisclosed studio. Dressed in a tailored black pantsuit and minimal makeup, her obsidian crown absent, but the mark on her neck glowing faintly under her collar. A famous interviewer leaned forward across the table. "Mrs. Blackthorn. The world wants to know, are vampires real?" Luna looked straight into the camera. She smiled. "The world has always known. They were just afraid to admit it." Chapter 17, Blood Moon Rising. The moon bled red. It hung low over the horizon like an omen, swollen and veined, casting a scarlet hue across the darkened hills surrounding the Blackthorn ancestral estate. Inside the tower, the air shimmered with ritual magic. Every candle had been lit. Every sigil carved. The blood moon had risen, and with it, the last chance to do the unthinkable. Make Darian mortal again. The chamber beneath the estate hadn't been opened in centuries. Not even Darian had set foot here since the fall of the Ninth House's original court. Its walls were lined with obsidian stone, its floor inlaid with silver and bone dust in the shape of an ancient ring, a ritual circle designed not for worship, but for transformation. A slab rested in the center, smooth and flat like an altar. Old magic clung to the air like perfume and static. It hummed. Luna stepped into the circle barefoot, her black silk robe fluttering. The mark on her back had begun to glow again, faint, but steady, like it was remembering something. Darian stood across from her, bare-chested, wrapped in ceremonial cloth and silence. His eyes met hers. "You're sure?" she asked. "No," he answered honestly. "But I want this. I want you in every lifetime, Luna. And I want to walk in the sun without burning. And if it fails..." His voice was low. "Then I become something worse than dead." The ritual was older than the houses, older than the languages they spoke. "One born of dark, one born of light," Luna whispered, reciting the invocation from memory. "Bound by choice, not fate nor bite. Let blood be given, truth revealed. Let flesh be mortal, pain be healed. She took the ceremonial dagger, the same one Nikolai had once offered her, and sliced a clean line across her palm. Darian did the same. They pressed their hands together, blood mixing, dripping into the runes below. The chamber reacted instantly. Wind spun from nowhere. The circle lit up in violent crimson. The moon outside pulsed brighter, casting long, skeletal shadows through the stained glass above. Then Luna leaned in, and kissed him. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a summoning. Their bond flared white-hot, and the mark on Luna's back spread across her shoulder blades, down her spine, illuminating symbols no living person had seen in 1,000 years. Darian gasped. His body seized, then arched. His fangs retracted. His breath shuddered. And then came the scream. Not Luna's. His. He dropped to the ground, clawing at his chest, eyes wide with agony. Veins blackened beneath his skin. Steam rose from his shoulders as the ancient curse fought back. No, 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 Luna knelt beside him, grabbing his face. Stay with me. But he was shaking, skin flickering between pale and flushed. His pupils dilated, then constricted. His lips parted. Luna, he gasped. Something's wrong. The room darkened. Not from the eclipse. From magic. A third presence entered the circle. Not physically. But spiritually. A specter of power. A voice echoed through the chamber, one that didn't come from Darian, or Luna, or the walls. You try to escape the curse of blood. But blood remembers. Luna's back arched in response. Her own veins began to burn. Her fingers locked with Darian's. What is that? She cried. The first oath Darian rasped. I never told you. There's a fail-safe. A clause. If any descendant of the 9th tries to sever the immortality line, the 10th dies with them. Her heart stopped. You knew this. I didn't think it would trigger. Not unless the bond was complete. They stared at each other, two people bound by love, now faced with mutually assured destruction. Luna rose, blood dripping from her palm. The magic lashed around her like a hurricane. Stop, she screamed. You want a sacrifice. You want blood. Fine. But take mine. Not his. The runes pulsed. Hesitated. Then began to dim. Luna fell to her knees, gasping, the dagger slipping from her fingers. And Darian breathed. A deep, human breath. His chest rose. Then again. And again. He looked at her. Then at the flickering flame of a candle beside them. He reached out. Held his hand into the light. And did not burn. Hours later, they lay together on the stone floor, breathless, shaking, covered in sweat and blood. Darian's skin was warm. His heart beat. I'm mortal, he whispered. You brought me back. Luna brushed his hair back, tears in her eyes. We almost died. But we didn't. She gave a shaky smile. Your skin's actually pink. It's weird. He laughed. A real, human laugh. But neither of them missed the cost. The runes were still scarred. And something in Luna's blood, something wild, had stirred. In a cave beneath the blackened mountains of the north, a ring of robed figures knelt before a burning symbol in the stone. The thorned crown. It glowed red. He's mortal now, said the leader. The 9th is broken. Then the gate may open, whispered another. And the child of fire, said the third, will burn the world down from within. They began to chant. And far away, on the floor of a cold chamber, Luna shivered. Chapter 18, Betrayal by Moonlight. The night after the ritual was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're being watched even when the doors are locked and the lights are on. Luna lay in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, Darian sleeping soundly beside her for the first time as a mortal man, warm-skinned, breathing, his heart beat a gentle rhythm in the dark. She should have felt peace. But she didn't. Because something inside her was stirring. Restless. Discontent. The ritual had worked, but at a price. And the blood she'd spilled hadn't stopped humming in her veins. That day, the press devoured them. Darian's public reappearance in daylight set off international headlines. Former vampire prince, now just Prince Charming. Darian Blackthorne, immortal no more. Sources say he's planning to retire. What's next for the Blood CEO? Darian smiled through it all. He was light. Happy. He cooked for her. Made terrible coffee. Laughed like he hadn't in centuries. But Luna couldn't breathe. Her power wasn't subsiding. Her mark glowed even stronger now. And when she looked in the mirror, she swore her eyes weren't just brown anymore, they flickered gold at the edges, like something divine and unstable was trying to claw out. Darian didn't notice. Not yet. But someone else did. It began with a dream. Luna stood at the top of a tower made of blackened bone, the moon full above her, red and pulsing. Below her, the world burned. Darian stood in the fire, calling her name. But she couldn't move. She couldn't choose. She woke up sobbing. And there, sitting in the velvet chair across from her bed, too solid to be imagined, was Nikolai. She didn't scream. She didn't call for Darian. Some part of her had been expecting this. You always find me at my worst, she whispered. Nikolai tilted his head. That's because you only hear the truth when your world is cracking. Luna sat up slowly. He's mortal now. You lost. I lost nothing, he said. He's weaker than ever. A king without a throne. A wolf with clipped teeth. You're jealous, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Nikolai smiled. No. I'm just honest. He leaned forward, hands steepled. Did he ever tell you what happened to his other brides? Before you? Before I sold? Luna narrowed her eyes. He said he only loved once. Did he? Nikolai said, rising. Because I remember the others. One by one. Mortal girls, each chosen. Each discarded. Each left to rot while he searched for his precious prophecy. You're not his miracle, Luna. You're his means to an end. That's not true, she whispered. He loves me. Of course he says that. But what if he only ever needed you to break the curse? What if the ritual worked, because your blood was the price? Luna's heart twisted. Nikolai saw it. Has he touched you since? He asked softly. Held you? Really looked at you? Or is he too busy celebrating his freedom to notice that you're changing? She turned her head. Because Darian hadn't asked about the visions. He hadn't seen the gold in her eyes. He hadn't even noticed that her skin had stopped warming in the sun. Because he was finally human. And she was not. Nikolai stepped closer. He smelled of ash and midnight, of things best left buried. You're not Luna Martinez anymore. You're Luna of the 10th. Fireborn. Crowned in deathlight. You don't belong in his arms. You belong at the head of an army. She looked up, eyes burning. Why do you care? His voice was quiet. I don't want the prophecy to control you like it did him. I want you to choose your power. Not bleed for his redemption. He reached out, slow and reverent, and touched the mark on her neck with 2 fingers. The world tilted. Luna gasped as visions flared behind her eyes. She stood at the head of a battlefield, fire crackling in her palms. Vampires knelt before her. Magic rained from the sky. Her crown burned, and she was feared, adored, divine. She pulled back, shaking, breathless, angry. That's not who I am, she said, voice cracking. But it could be, Nikolai whispered. Then he leaned in and kissed her. It was soft. Barely there. But real. And Luna did not stop it. Only for a second. Only long enough for the betrayal to bloom like a bruise. When she finally pulled away, she was trembling. Furious. But not at Nikolai. At herself. I didn't mean to. You don't have to apologize, he said softly. Not to me. And then he vanished. Leaving her standing in the dark with fire under her skin and guilt in her throat. Darian found her on the rooftop, arms wrapped around herself, hair whipping in the wind. I made us tea, he said gently. The way you like it. She didn't turn. He stepped behind her, reached for her hand. She flinched. He froze. Luna. She turned to him slowly, eyes shining with unshed tears. You didn't even notice, she whispered. Notice what? I'm not healing, she said. My skin doesn't warm anymore. My heartbeat slowed. I'm changing, Darian. And you're too busy being human to see it. He opened his mouth to speak. And she walked away. Not because she didn't love him. But because she did. And she was afraid of what she might become if she stayed. Chapter 19, Resurrection Games. Somewhere deep beneath the earth, in the catacombs of the First Blood, something stirred. The air was stale with centuries of death. Torchlight danced along damp stone walls carved with ancient oaths and broken names. The symbols had been scratched out, defaced in a fury so old even the shadows had forgotten the reason. But not Nikolai. And not Evangeline. They stood before the sarcophagus in silence. The obsidian slab was cracked down the center, held together not by stone, but by spells so dark they whispered when touched. Evangeline wore a cloak of mourning red velvet, her once smooth face now marked by battle and bitterness. Nikolai held the grimoire. The one bound in human skin, etched in blood only the 10th could read. He sleeps, Nikolai murmured, but not for long. You're sure this will work? Evangeline asked, her voice hard but trembling. I'm not just sure, he said, I'm counting on it. His name had been erased from the history of the 9 houses. But every elder still whispered it in nightmares, Valerian Blackthorn. The first true monarch of the vampire race. Darian and Nikolai's father. Crowned in war. Feared by mortals and monsters alike. His reign ended in blood and fire after he tried to unite all 9 houses by force. They sealed him away in a tomb so deep it was said even the gods had forgotten the way back. Until now. Nikolai opened the grimoire. Ancient wind howled through the crypt, though there were no windows or doors. Evangeline began chanting, her voice cold and cruel, the Latin warped with something older, pre-language magic. Sanguinem redi. Corpus surge. Rex expeditoria. Give back the blood. Rise the body. Wake the king. Nikolai sliced open his palm, dripping blood onto the sarcophagus. We offer you your son's betrayal, he whispered. And your other son's madness. We offer you the crown that was taken. The crack in the stone began to glow, not red, but black. Shadow light. And from beneath the slab, something growled. The tomb shook. The torches guttered out. And then the lid shattered. He rose like a nightmare from the dust. Valerian Blackthorn. Pale. Beautiful. Terrible. His hair was silver white, long and matted, his eyes pitch black with crimson rings. His chest bore the scars of the 9 swords used to kill him. And yet he stood, naked and regal, like death himself had waited to be summoned. He spoke only one word, and the entire chamber dropped into a choking silence. Where is my heir? Evangeline stepped forward, smiling darkly. Gone soft. Mortal now. Valerian turned to Nikolai. And you? I brought you back. Valerian regarded him, expression unreadable. Then we will see if you are worthy of your blood. He raised a hand, black smoke swirling around it, and pressed it to Nikolai's chest. For a split second, Nikolai's face twisted in pain. Then it stopped. Valerian smiled faintly. You are not your brother. No, Nikolai whispered. I'm not. Good. Far away, in the Blackthorn penthouse, Luna collapsed in the hallway. A migraine, sudden and violent, exploded behind her eyes, and in its place came a vision. She stood on a battlefield under a storm-swallowed sky. The world was on fire. Screaming echoed in the wind. At the center of it all stood Valerian, cloaked in smoke, fangs bared, lifting Darian by the throat like a broken doll. Darian was mortal. Fragile. Bleeding. And Luna, she was not human anymore. She was hovering above the ground, her arms burning with runes, her crown made of flames. Valerian turned to her in the dream, and said, "Come home, daughter." She woke up screaming. Later that evening, Luna stormed into the council chamber, Darian behind her, alarmed and out of breath. He's back, she told them, eyes wild. Valerian. Your king. Your monster. The council, usually cold and amused, fell into chaos. You lie. He's dead. No one could survive the sealing. I saw him, she said. And he saw me. Darian looked pale. Mortal fear made him sweat. We have to evacuate the lower courts. If Nikolai really did this. But the matriarch stood, her face like carved ice. If Valerian has returned, she said, then the games begin anew. And the prophecy must be fulfilled, through fire or through ash. What games? Luna snapped. The resurrection games, the matriarch whispered. And then she smiled. May the strongest house survive. That night, Luna stood on the balcony alone, watching lightning roll across the sky. Darian stepped out quietly. I saw the way you looked at the council, he said. She didn't turn. They're going to use me. They always were. And you? He sighed. I just want to keep you safe. She turned then, her voice tight. You can't. Not anymore. You gave up your power to be with me. But I didn't give up mine. Silence stretched between them. And for the first time since they met, they felt it. A split forming. A storm on the horizon. A crown rising that could not be shed. Because every love story deserves a little magic. You've just felt the passion, the heartbreak, and maybe a spark of destiny. Subscribe for more supernatural love, dramatic twists, and heart-fluttering romance. Like if you believe in second chances and fated mates. Comment your favorite romantic moment, we read them all, and we swoon with you. Ring the bell so you never miss the next magical chapter. Share with a fellow hopeless romantic, you know they're secretly obsessed too. Because here at Supernatural Romance Stories, the moon is always watching, and love always finds a way.